Hey, this is Dave coming at you from Grand Blanc again. It's been a while since I've done a video. I've just been really busy. We got an early snow. It's November 15th. I think this happened a few days ago, so caught us by surprise, but there's the progress now. I don't think I've done a video since we got exterior walls up. As a matter of fact, I don't think we've done a video since I sheeted it. Been really busy with other things too, and it's mostly my son and I that are doing it, so I'll keep showing progress as I make it, but it's going to be slow progress. But I'll be happy once we get the roof on. But I'll show you some of the stuff we've been doing, and let's see here. This is probably the easiest way to get up without sinking into the abyss. All right. All right. Yeah, one thing I might want to point out on this video, I looked everywhere on YouTube and on Google, and I couldn't find any videos of how to properly frame 45-degree walls if you're using 2x6 walls. There's tons of videos on, if it's a 2x4 wall, there's a trick where you rip cut the edge of a 2x4 at, you know, a 45-degree angle, and then slip that piece that you just caught over on the other side of it, and that would be your wedge. But that doesn't work out with 2x6 just because you end up with a different size wedge. So here's a good, I thought I was the only one that did it, and then actually just recently I saw, it's a great YouTube channel called Essential Craftsman. It's an older guy that is just a phenomenal teacher. He explains things really well. And he didn't even talk about this. I just happened to see that he did it the same way. So it actually made me feel good knowing that some guy that has that much experience did it the same way I did it. So here, let me get down close and I'll show you the easiest way that I found to do it. So here's your 45 here to here. And so what you do is you cut each one of your bottom plate and top plates 22.5 degrees, because 45 divided by 2 is 22.5. And so then what I did, and you can't make this board with a 2x6 because that creates a hypotenuse. So obviously at a 90 degree, a 2x6 is 5.5 inches. But what I found, when you cut the 22.5, this measurement from here to long to short of the angle equals an even 6 inches. So what I basically ended up doing is I just bought two 2x8s for each 45. I just told my lumberyard for every single exterior wall that I have a 45-degree angle, send me two 2x8s by 10. And then I just cut the 2x8 by 10. The length is 104 5/8, just like any full-length stud on these walls. And then I just took my table saw and set 22.5 beveled cut and rip cut long to short 6 inches. And I actually went about 5 and 15/16 inches just to be a little shy, because you don't want to be over. Under's good, but you don't want to be too big. But anyways, that's how I did it, and I'll show you how we actually tie them together. So, and then it's not that hard. You'd think it takes a long time, but we just set one angle and we send them all through and just cut the one side of each 2x6 first. Then we measure the 6 inches, set it up on our saw, make sure that it's hitting exactly at about 15/16 inches, and then we just rip the other side. And then within 20 minutes you have 20 boards. So anyways, here, let me show you one that I finished. Or I finished a lot of them. This, matter of fact, I only have a few more, but this right here, this bow window stuff, while I'm walking by here, this took a decent amount of time because these are little tiny walls. And see, we have one right here that's finished. So the good thing is you're just using two boards. You have solid drywall for drywall backer here, and then you have solid on the inside, or yeah, the inside corner for the OSB or plywood or whatever you're using. And I had to kind of figure out a way to do this, because on this bow window, like if you did this and you put studs this way, and then you have this big wedge, this would all be solid wood. And you want to get as much insulation as you can. But it worked out really good with these tight walls doing these. And then on this one, I even had to take off a little bit off the back so it would fit in there, because it would have ended up like right here. But anyways, this is where we're at so far. what I'm going to be doing next is we're going to be building that long wall as one wall on that garage, and then tie this in here. And at that point, we still have temp walls under our beams down here. So we're going to, once all the exterior walls are built, we're going to run a string across this way, since the beams run this way. And then we're just basically going to put a block like this right in the dead center of the floor, like that, until we jack it right up to the string line. And then in a span of 36 feet, I mean, you could slap a level on it if you want, but once you do it with a tight string, you're pretty much, you know, with construction, sometimes you're just going to be in the line, but you're not going to be dead center, and that's just the way of it. You know, you just got to pick the lesser of two evils. And I would rather just pick the tight string going across the entire span with a block in the middle, and we'll check in a few spots. But if it's centered right in the middle and that's where the beam is, then chances are, once this has finished flooring on it, anyone that walks in here and says, hey, I think your floor's a little bit crooked, I think they probably need to see a shrink, because they have more OCD than I do. So yeah, then like in here, we raised this wall up higher because our print says that this main great room window has to be at 8 feet from here to the top of the header. And there was just no way to get that header in there if we try to keep that wall at the same level as the 9-foot wall. And the reason why it doesn't matter that that's higher up than the rest of the house is because from there to there is it goes up higher. This wall will just keep going, and then from over here there'll be like a balcony you look down. So on each side of this wall here, there's actually a LVL beam that goes on each side that goes back this way. And I'm sure I'll have a video of that too once we start doing the upstairs floor system. Colby's barking like crazy. I brought her over here today, and let's see if I can get a shot of her. But yeah, it's been a nightmare. Luckily we use this Advantech stuff because it does look like it's taking the water really well. Colby, what are you doing? Yeah, and let's see here. What else do we want to point out? Oh, I think I went a little overkill on, these are exterior walls. They said that I think the code is like any header opening that's more than 4 feet is 2 king studs, but then a framer that I know, a friend of mine, said that it's basically 5 feet. So I went ahead and just on most openings, I went ahead and just did 2 king studs, just because I just feel that it just makes the house so much stronger. And in the entire house, what would you have? An extra, even on a house that's 4,000 square feet, what is that, 300 more bucks maybe? You know, so like, you know, in the whole scheme of things of how much it's going to cost, I always, my philosophy is construction is absolutely permanent. If you do it right, it's permanent. I'm 44 years old. I'm hoping that after I pass away, you know, someone could buy the house and it's just here for a few hundred years, or, you know, who knows how long. But I just take pride in it because, you know, if that's any advice I could give to a construction guy, just think of it as like paperwork. Working in an office is just temporary stuff. Papers come in, papers go out. But construction is more permanent. Once you pour the concrete footing, it should be there for hundreds of years. Same thing with the walls. Do everything right, and take pride in your work. Never rush it. Just everyone, I just talked to so many construction guys, like, they brag about how much, oh, I can put a square, I could do a, you know, I can put 5 square on a roof in an hour. And it's like, who cares, man? I could care less about how fast you are. I'd rather you take a month to do 1 square, as long as I know my roof isn't going to leak for 40 years. But anyways, that's just me ranting. Here, I'll come down by Colby. And then we got this porch put in. We put these stem walls out because this is where my post will actually come down and hit. And then we're gonna pour around the posts with the 4-inch porch. And then I actually bumped my porch out 2 feet this way too. That way at the lower part of the column I could use like some cultured stone and like make the bottom of the columns wider without hanging off the edge of the slab, if that makes sense. Just like in an earlier video, I think, you know, you can see now this is where the stem wall is. That's where that lead wall was, where the print shows the porch being from the house right here. But then if you can look at it, then it just wouldn't, you'd have the cultured stone hanging off the edge of the, that wouldn't look good. So what else can I point out? But yeah, it looks pretty good. And then my son and I, over the last couple days, I went ahead and just pressure treated here. Some of this wood will be below the concrete, and the code is that you put a galvanized piece of sheeting around here. But I figured, you know what, I'll just do pressure treated anyways. I mean, why not? Colby's going nuts when I'm not in her view. Oh, it's amazing how you just won't bark anymore the second you see me. And one other thing that we did is we knew that we weren't beating winter. Oh, and I got my electrical. It's all set. It's approved by the electrical inspector. I'm literally just waiting for Consumers Energy to come and install it. And they are just dragging their feet. And if anyone from Consumers Energy sees this video, please, I don't need you to like and subscribe or anything. Just, can you give me some electricity so I can stop running my generator? And we got this buttoned up and all this taped, and when it's just you and another person, you know, you're gonna have loose ends. You know, this isn't really like a production driven type of job. We're just trying to, you know, when you have such a big project and there's only a couple people working on it, you're bound to have a bunch of stuff pile up. Colby, you're making a liar out of me. You're barking at me and I'm standing right here. And then another thing we did, we're worried that since we are taking a long time and it's just us, that my stanchion pads in the basement could possibly freeze if it gets too cold. And plus, it's nice to have a warm place to eat lunch, like in a warmer spot. So I went ahead and took the time. We sheeted this. I built this temp wall. I actually framed it to where it's like a 4-foot wide opening, even though the final door will obviously be a walkout 6-foot wide door. But for now, I just went ahead and hinged it. I just took plywood and I just wrapped the plywood just to make it a little bit more sturdy and keep the plywood from warping. This is a great way to build a door on sheds and stuff. Just a piece of 3/4 inch pressure treated plywood. You know, just put that on there. I put a little bungee, that way we can close it from the inside. Locked it, and then, yeah, you can feel it's about 7-10 degrees warmer in here. And you know, this is just all temporary from the concrete all the way to here, and then this is permanent, temporary. And then here's the wood burner I piped in. I just got it off of Craigslist, just a cheap one, but it's roaring. It's a good place to dry the gloves out. Colby likes coming in here and chilling by it. But anyways, it's a really nice day today. This is kind of my day off, but it's such a nice day and there's no wind or anything. I just came and got a load of firewood for my house because we still burn wood at my house. So, and then it's funny because this top here, in order to buy the top that goes on these, you're looking at like $80 to $100. Like, it's just ridiculous. So I just took a pipe and bowed it and screwed it in. It works fine. It looks like a little mailbox, but it keeps the snow and the water out. So anyways, it's very exciting. Some of these jobs, you know, like, you know, doing all this, I got to wrap this. We got to put the 2 feet of, you know, the last 2 feet down on the wall. And I look at that stuff as it's like, oh, how many more loose ends do I have before I finally can start building interior walls? But I just think that you got to wrap up the loose ends before you push on to the next project. So anyways, this is Dave from Grand Blanc signing off.